The aviation industry never sleeps, and as the week comes to a close, there's lots to take in. With Air Canada's all-black livery making headlines once more, Qantas officially sacking employees illegally, coverage on a Lufthansa expansion, and also news at Flair Airlines from Canada. Beginning though with Air Canada Jetz, whose livery refresh saga continues, with the national airline receiving a lot more criticism than maybe initially expected. For reference, Air Canada revealed that their Jetz division, which is tailored towards business charter services, would now be painted in an all-black scheme to help differentiate the business from the mainline or regional brands. However, the response may not have been what Air Canada intended. Most actually focused on the livery change as a deflection away from the current state of Air Canada, which has seen poor customer service and much more. And these same people believe that the airline has fallen away in recent times. Therefore, an investment in changing up the livery, those funds, well, they could have gone elsewhere. While some also expressed frustration over a scheme that leans too much into the all-black of Air New Zealand, even with Air New Zealand going as far as jokingly saying, "We may have blacked out for a second, but this looks oddly familiar." I'd love to know where you stand. Did Air New Zealand invent the all-black scheme and own its rights, and therefore any carrier that, say, paints an aircraft in black is copying them or disrespecting them? Or do you believe that Air Canada maybe could have spent the money in better places to improve the overall service? Or lastly, are you of the opinion that it just looks nice and that's that? Let me know down below in the comments. Now, on to some pretty sizable updates regarding Qantas. It seems to be going from bad to worse, as the national airline has officially lost its appeal that it lodged to turn around a ruling that labelled the redundancy of 1,700 ground handlers and the outsourcing of critical functions of Australian airports unlawful. The latest appeal has revealed that Qantas illegally made over 1,000 ground handlers' jobs redundant during the height of the pandemic, by specifically using unlawful justification in doing so. All this was part of Qantas's bid to cut down costs when travel demand had plummeted to essentially zero for all domestic and international operations. The High Court handed down the judgment, essentially upholding two previous rulings made by the federal court. Qantas notes that while it does acknowledge the upholding of the verdict, it was forced to make such cuts to its business to protect it for years ahead, adding that the restructuring was to help the future recovery and ultimately mean it would survive. The Australian flag carriers outsourcing, especially in critical business areas since the pandemic, has been a crucial attribute to why the airline's reputation has also gone down the gutter, with a customer support team providing most customers more problems than answers over recent years. While those who were illegally fired won't return to their roles, they will be entitled to receive compensation per latest reports, and Qantas will likely see a slap on the wrists too, in the realm of a fine. But you can't imagine with their substantial profits that this would dent them too much. Following this ruling, and despite Alan Joyce's departure from the airline as their CEO, there are still calls for a substantial reshuffle to the board. Analysts and also ex-Qantas employees believe it is the last necessary step to truly transform the company's image and bring them forward into a more positive light, and once again reclaim the tag of the spirit of Australia by the public. On to German flag carrier Lufthansa, who have announced a substantial expansion into the United States. This is in preparation for the upcoming 2024 season, as you may have been able to tell not just here on the channel but also on the publication's website. Airlines are very much ramping up for the 2024 summer, getting routes in place and announcing new services. By next summer, the carrier will offer a staggering 27 US destinations for customers to choose from. This is actually more than when the pandemic emerged, highlighting their growth in the market. Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Raleigh-Durham in North Carolina are two new destinations to the Lufthansa network being added. An origin point of Frankfurt has been outlined for this service. The Frankfurt to Minneapolis service is slated to begin on the 4th of June, with a 5 times weekly service commencing. Meanwhile, the Raleigh-Durham flight will begin 2 days later on June the 6th, 2024. This will also be operating 5 times a week. Lufthansa notes that such a service will also be hugely important for business travelers connecting Germany and North Carolina. Lufthansa does also note that Hyderabad will be served 5 times weekly in the summer 2024 season. Yes, it is already part of their network. However, the commitment to continuing flights highlights that it is very much an essential part of the Indian presence for the German airline. Frankfurt will just generally continue to play a pivotal role as a city to connect to the United States. Lufthansa, though, from Munich will fly for the first time towards Seattle. Additionally, Munich will see a Johannesburg and Hong Kong connection. Munich will see the A350, as mentioned, deploy towards Seattle from the 30th of May 2024. Also, Hong Kong will see flights several times per week. Johannesburg is a returning destination. Interestingly enough, the airline has had Johannesburg missing from its network from Munich since 2005. The A350, which is a very popular widebody within the airline's fleet, will connect the two city pairings to Munich. Lufthansa also notes that its Airbus A380s will be deployed on service to 5 routes, with Boston, Los Angeles, and New York, and now 2 new capitals of Delhi and Washington, D.C. Onto the final topic of today, and that centers around Flair Airlines that have announced its intent to launch services to Cancun International from Calgary. The route will begin on December 17th, which is hugely important for the upcoming winter season. This is especially highlighted by Canadians leaving the cold weather for the warm weather of Mexico during the holiday season. Flair notes that the new connection will operate thrice weekly as part of the airline's continued commitment to expansion, with fares beginning at Canadian $129, although they say that these fares are very much limited and they may very well be sold out now at the time of publication. Flair, since its launch, has continued to attempt to offer Canadians the best possible travel option, at an affordable price too. The airline currently has a fuel-efficient fleet, mainly consisting of the 737 MAX aircraft. It does mean if Flair wants to continue to disrupt the market as they intend to do so, that they will have a fuel-efficient fleet to be able to bring them forward, with the MAX being a very popular choice for operations not just within Canada, but also in markets right around the world. That's going to conclude today's aviation news recap for you. As I always say, thank you so much for the support that you're showing on these videos. It is noticeable, and I do really appreciate it. If you have made it this far and have any thoughts on the topics covered, whether that be a pretty strong opinion on that Air Canada livery, or maybe Qantas being ruled to have illegally fired almost 2,000 workers, you can let me know down below in the comments. But stay tuned, there will be another one of these tomorrow, taking a look at more important stories that make up our industry. Thanks a lot for watching and your support. Take care, please do also be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow at the same time for more coverage.